Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
We're going to talk about the hashtag comics so broke. Comics broke me.
Yes.
Comics broke me. It's trending right now on Twitter. Lots of comic book professionals talking about their really negative experiences in comics.
Don't they do this like once a year?
We do this once a year.
No, but all these people do this once a year, and then we come back to it, then they go right back to it, and then a year later they start commiserating about the exact same damn things, and then go back to it.
Yeah.
What's the definition of insanity again?
Yeah, I know, right? Expecting a different outcome. And look, the comic book industry, the mainstream comic book industry, the direct market, I have to clarify because I'm not talking about graphic novels. I'm not talking about manga. I'm talking Marvel, DC, and especially publishers like IDW.
Oh, the books that are getting their asses kicked.
Yes. Dark Horse, It is very, very hard to make a living doing that current year.
It's not even current year. It's been.
It
never really came back. It had the crash in the 90s. And I've been married to you for a long time.
Yes.
Not in the 90s, but a long time. And here's the thing. It's like, as long as I've known you, everybody you've talked to, you've worked in comics with, complained about how it makes no money.
Yes.
And we've been married for over 20 years.
What? Yeah.
So comics, I've heard from you for a long time that comics don't make money, and all your friends. Comics don't make money.
Yes.
So I don't understand why this is a news flash.
I think they're panicking. I think that we've got, professionals now who are in their 40s and 50s looking at things and they're like, oh my God, I thought this was going to be my retirement plan. I thought I was going to get a fat movie deal or a Netflix deal and retire.
Again, I have been around you in comics for at least the time I've been married. So at least 20 years. And it wasn't better then, and it hasn't gotten better throughout. So why the fuck would you think it was going to change if you've done this for decades and it's staying the same?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be a bitch here. I'm just saying we've been there for years. And other people making money either were like big names, which doesn't even happen so much now. Or people that were doing their own things, people that were doing web comics that were successful. Those kind of people were the ones making money. And everybody else kept complaining about the same bullshit. And then you had this new regime come in and throw everybody else out so they could take over for less money. Because they got what they were asking for, which was jack shit. I don't understand why they don't understand this.
I never quite got the mentality of that. We'll talk about it. Before we get into it any further. Before we get into it any further, that's okay. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. You'll get a woohoo if you do.
Woo!
We do talk a lot about comic books, having worked in and around the comic book industry for a number of years, doing comic books ourselves, having worked on licensed comics for years.
Yeah, I just can't wrap my head around it. Like, we've been there, around. We've been around. Where did they get this idea that, I don't understand.
Well, it was like when
it does not compute.
When IDW was starting to fold, people were like, what? We had no idea. And I'm like, bitch, please. I was freelancing for IDW years ago and I had to chase them for money in like 2014. Like, I never had a problem with people I worked with. I've said that before. The people I worked with at the time, none of them
it wasn't
are
their
there.
fault.
Yeah, none of them are there anymore. But like, this has been business as usual in comics for most of comics for a very, very long time, with the exception of Marvel and DC. Now, back in the day, Marvel and DC didn't pay very well either. But at least, there were more so DC, as I understand it, royalties. And plus the books were selling well enough that they could pay better rates than like IDW or Dark Horse.
It's been shit for a while. So I don't understand why they're so surprised. They act so surprised. Every year this comes back around. They act surprised again. And I'm just like,
that's what I don't understand. Like, nobody is trapped in the comic book industry. The best thing you could do for yourself, and I figured this out at 2015, I basically just walked away from mainstream comics. I said, I'm not even going to look for any more work in comics. I'm done. I'm out. I don't care. It doesn't pay enough. It's actually costing me money to chase comic book work because I'm turning down other work that pays more. Like the time I'm spending on comics, I could be doing like freelance web development or something like that. Pays a hell of a lot more.
That reminds me of, there was that webcomic artist that she quit because she got so tired of it. She went on to do other things and made a shit ton of money.
I can't remember her name off the top of my head. But she was a webcomic artist. She won awards and she quit and she basically said, the best thing that happened to me was I quit comics. I think it was Rachel something or other. And then she went into web development. And then she wound up making like $150,000 a year. Mm-hmm. She's like, oh my God, I've got health insurance for the first time in my life and things are looking good. And I still do comics, but it's not my main income.
I can't understand why people are they act so surprised every time this comes back around. And it's like, you weren't surprised the last 6 or 7 times this has come around in the last like decade.
So why do these people spend so much time bitching about YouTubers and other people that do crowdfunding that are doing well? It's because they're absolutely fucking miserable. And they're looking at the financial success these people have. And look, politics is some of it, I'm sure, but basically it's not fair. It's not fair that somebody that goes on YouTube made millions of dollars when I've been sitting here in the trenches paying my dues for 20 years and the industry is not giving me health insurance or retirement.
If I were them, I'd be more pissed about the fact you've been in the trenches for 20 years and certain people with certain identifiers got to just walk right in and get seats handed to them because, 2014, 2016, and, you sat there and worked hard. And then, I love that. What are they doing though? When you see most of these comic book creators and these writers and stuff, most of the time they're on Twitter having, shit fits and pontificating endlessly, but they're so overworked. And I'm like, all you do is tweet.
Yes.
You just tweet all fucking day. And then you're like, oh, I missed my deadline. I'm like, well, I wonder why.
Well, if you feel like you have to tweet all damn day, just get yourself Chat GPT. It can generate tweets for you, and then you can actually work.
Yeah, just put the good things in, Republicans suck, Trump sucks, Elon Musk sucks, LGBTQ yay, and then just all day long.
Hashtag LGBTQ yay. Hashtag I like rainbows. So yeah, this came about, I guess, because of Ian McGinty, who he worked in animation, he worked in comics. Now, last I heard, there was no official cause of death, and the family wasn't talking about the cause of death. Usually when there's no talk of a cause of death, it's not a good thing. It's usually drug-related, suicide.
Drugs, you killed yourself, or you
died suddenly, and they don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, it's usually the drugs or you killed yourself. Let's be honest.
So
not always, but almost always.
So I'm thinking that, most of the people here are talking about McGinty, because he didn't even make it to 40.
Well,
RIP. It's horrible.
I do feel bad. I mean, I'm not going to say this is not us mocking this person at all.
No, not.
But I'm just like, I've been around comics a long time, and I don't understand what the surprise is.
Yeah. So apparently, I'm leaning toward he possibly took his own life. The way that they're talking about it, because they basically said that he was left penniless and crushed, and that's kind of where the comic book industry is right now.
I'm not trying to be a bitch, but again, dude, where have you been? It's been like this. Everybody's been complaining about this for years. I don't understand why you think it would be any different. I don't have health insurance. That's the other thing I say all the time. Well, I don't know if you want health insurance, then go get a job that pays better. Comics is not going to give you health insurance. I'm sorry.
No, it's not. Look, you are. If you work in
health insurance.
But yeah, well, that's the thing. You're gonna have to buy your own. I mean, it's like anything else.
So we have to do.
Hate to break it to you, you are a contractor. You're basically a plumber who draws, right? And they're gonna try to get the cheapest, best plumber they can get. But at the end of the day, it's not their job to keep you on full time either. And the state that comics are in right now, nobody's going to give you higher page rates than they're giving you because they're not making the money. We're going to talk about that. We'll go out to Twitter, but here's just some of the people that Bleeding Cool talked about.
And this first person, this sounds like what we've told you guys. They don't give you jack shit for an advance. You have to do it, and you have 3 years or 5 years to do it, and you're supposed to go get a day job because most people that do these books have a day job, which we've told you. This is all confirming everything we have already told you. Boo fucking who? It's been like this for a while.
Yes.
Don't do it then.
I got a $7,000 advance, and I had to pick up a demanding day job that started at $45,000 in New York City.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
And also freelance.
Let's talk about something for a minute. So, once upon a time we had an agent, right? Once upon a time we were pitching a book we were going to have, like the librarian was really interested in one book, but he decided to pitch the other one, which I still don't understand this day. However, at the time we were doing webcomics, and we were getting a lot of views on our webcomic, like over 1 million a month.
We were getting 2 months. We had a couple months.
Yeah.
1 million. Yeah. It was
so a lot of views on webcomic, and we were supposed to be doing 3 full color pages a week. Okay. Neon, we had small children. Neon would literally sleep like 5 hours a night to do his job which was what paid for our house, the comic, and then I was doing what I could do, but I did colors and different things like that. But I was also a mom and taking care of the kids all the time. And you know what? And you had to do freelance sometimes. Sometimes you did work that were on Disney comics and things on top of all of it. That's just, how it is. I mean, that's because you chose it.
I chose it. I mean,
right.
At the end of the day, I chose it because I wanted to work on those projects. I knew it didn't pay that well. I knew I always had to keep a day job, but I chose it. And that's what I don't understand. Like, we've got this person here, that first one, is it Shavana?
Did this book even earn out?
Probably not.
I'm about a button person.
I had to prioritize money. I didn't prioritize my health. I never saw my friends, never saw my family.
That's what you have to give up. We've joked with you guys for years that if you want to do comics, you want to play a new video game, forget it. You want to do whatever, forget it. This is why she got a book. I'm going to fucking say it. Brown and queer. That's why she got a fucking book.
Okay, but here, so this is, okay. Oh my God. I need a moment here. I can only grind away because I'm a brown queer who has been fucking broke, and that desperation not to go back to skipping meals to pay rent haunts me. Comics is not the right industry to go into if you want to be able to pay your rent every month.
This happens.
This
bullshit. I didn't skip meals, pay rent because I'm brown and queer. No. See, that happens to a lot of people. It does not matter if you're fucking brown or queer. Don't use that as an excuse because it doesn't matter. It happens to all kinds of people who do this.
It happens to everybody.
It's not just you. No. I have a panic disorder. Well, fucking join the club. So do I. PCOS. Guess what? I also have PCOS. I'm not brown and queer. Oh my God.
Oversharing.
I'm just saying. Like, oh my God, I feel bad for me because I'm like, I have the same things.
Yeah, I know. So, okay.
Being brown and queer has absolutely nothing to fucking do with it.
So this is multiple people who worked on Lumberjanes. So this has
shocker.
So this has to irritate these people to see Stevenson get paid to do She-Ra and jump ship.
Not just that, they give her all the credit. I'm sorry, them all the credit now. I keep forgetting. Stevenson keeps getting all the credit for Lumberjanes, and they keep crediting Stevenson as like it's their book. Not true. It was not Stevenson's book. They were brought in for the book.
As I understand it, talking to somebody who would know.
Well, even if you look up the information about the book, wasn't the case.
No, Stevenson was brought in, and it was a group effort, and then that was used as a step stool for Stevenson to get the She-Ra gig. Well, first to get a Disney gig, which led to the She-Ra gig. That was my understanding. But then these people were like, man, I got paid $80 a page for Lumberjanes. So this person, Casey, I drew Lumberjanes 9 through 11 for $80 a page. One of the most miserable experiences of my entire life.
Wasn't Lumberjanes like 10 years ago?
Yeah.
So $80 a page 10 years ago was more than $8 a page now.
$80 a page. You were talking, it probably be about $100 a page now, but still, that's not, for working on a boom book, that's not a lot of money. I kicked a hole in the cabinet door. I woke up stressed out and I went to bed stressed out. I hated what I made. I was embarrassed. And I went crawling back multiple times. Then don't.
Don't do it.
They gave me $90 a page at some point, and I'm talking layout pencils, inks, all in Lumberjanes. I guess I believed in the comic. Ian had it worse, and he was the kind of guy who would go like, fuck you, I can do this. I had the same attitude sometimes. There was somebody that worked for, I think it was Boom, one of the smaller press companies, and they talked about how their money basically went just to pay the rent because he was only making taking home like $2,500 a month, and then his wife basically had to pay all the other bills, and he was working like 16 hours a day, and it was insane. But I'm also like, I'm not trying to be that guy, but I've done this. You chose this. You chose to go into comics. You could go work at I'm not trying to be a dick. You could go work at Home Depot and you'd make a lot more money
per hour.
Per hour.
I mean, we were figuring it out what you were making when all the time you spent. It was less than working at McDonald's.
Yes. When I was working on Disney books, oh boy, Eisner Award winning Disney books. Well, you can't eat a fucking Eisner Award, can you?
Yeah. I was gonna say you can't pay your health insurance with an award.
Right. So, working on these prestigious books, and it did break down to be less than minimum wage with all the hours I put into it. I did it because I liked it. I did it because I felt honored to be picked and all that shit.
Lumberjanes. Did you go contact all the Lumberjanes people?
I don't know. Colored an entire book in a weekend for Dynamite.
Oh, I wonder what that's like. He has you beat. He did it in an overnight.
I didn't sleep for almost 3 days. I've been there. I think that one was my worst, but then I got fibromyalgia. My health hasn't been stable for 6 years.
Oh my God. Why is every person on here? I have PCOS. I have fibromyalgia. I
have mental illness. I have...
Wait, again?
No. Just everybody's just talking about how broken they are. I'm like, guys, I am not trying... God, I wish... I'm doing a podcast. I'm going to go on camera. I wish you could see my fucking face on this one. Because I'm like, you chose this.
Yeah, it's like if you keep stabbing yourself and you keep stabbing yourself, but ow, that hurts. Ow, that hurts. Ow, that hurts.
Then
Why is nothing changing? Oh crap! Now I have an infection, and now I'm depressed. Ow, it hurts. Ow, it hurts. I'm just like, don't do it.
Okay, you want the truth? Why everybody's like, what's this? The unified theory of everything. The unified theory of everything when it comes to the comic book industry. Why does the comic book industry hire all these broken people? Because they're the people that will work for the shitty conditions and the shitty pay. They're basically stuck with what they can get. Do you want the truth? Mm-hmm. The comic book industry is stuck with what they can get. So there tends to be a lot of people that have a lot of problems. And then being in this industry exacerbates a lot of those problems.
Well, they got rid of a lot of people who've been around for years and get the stuff done to replace them with people that would work less. Yeah. I love this one.
Under the guise of it being about diversity and inclusion, it was really about getting people cheaper. That's what it was all about.
You do it. It's about Action Lab and all that. They talk about here, been publishing my comics since 2017 on Webtoon. Got paid fairly well and decided to become freelance. They unceremoniously decided to stop paying all creators based on views and pay us only based on ad clicks. Yes, we were one of the ones that got paid for that, guys. Not just this. Yeah, a lot of people that were interviewing. It was like, we have most same experience. Never ever asked us.
We have the same experience, and you know what we did?
We got paid too on Webtoon.
We walked away. We went and found something else. We did something else. Not just this. We do a lot of other shit. There are a lot of things you can do. And guess what? You can do other stuff, and then you can afford to make comics on your own terms. You know, you don't have to crank out a monthly comic. You don't have to do, you can be like, you know what? I'm going to go work this $80,000 to $100,000 a year job. And then in the evenings, I'm going to work on my graphic novel.
We're assuming they have the qualifications. Some of them might not.
Well, learn to code, and then we're...
But again, too, push through a deadline, screwed up my hands, and talk about how long did you have to wear braces? And my favorite was Neon, because sitting in a chair all the time, trying to get the work done, because you gained so much weight sitting in a chair all the time. He lost it all since, but he had gained a bunch. Ruptured discs in his back. Literally drug his leg, because he wouldn't go get surgery, or because we heard bad stories about it. Yeah. Literally drug his leg like Igor for like a year. I used to jokingly call him Igor.
It was more than that. I mean, well, yeah, so I was real hot. So just imagine I was like 75 pounds overweight, and I'm dragging my leg like freaking Quasimodo. And this, super hot.
This when he wasn't very old.
Yeah, I was in my 30s.
Was it early 30s?
Early 30s. Yeah, it was early 30s.
Early to mid, yeah.
I was like 32 going on 58.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
from doing comics.
It was I'll tell you the truth. I will tell you the truth. That is the worst physical shape I have been in my adult life. Was when I did, because I basically went to work in a chair because I worked an office job, and then I came home and I sat down in a chair, and there was no time to really take care of myself. And then it does. It's like a freaking.
Then the pandemic came and you were able to work out.
But I mean, I've lost some weight even before that. But I mean, when my back was screwed up, it was awful. My arms were going numb, and I still have nerve.
And he had to try to draw with his arm numb. So it's like, yes, we understand all this, but again. But they're like, oh, they're pushing us, they aren't paying us. They only can do it because you let them. Because they know they can. Somebody else is lined up, ready to take your place. They burn you out. Before we even got married, you were telling me about comics, and I was even like, this sounds to me like they just burn you out in a few years and then just replace you. And you're like, yeah, kinda. And I was like, why do you want to do that?
So here, this again. So we had somebody basically throw in one of N.D. Stevenson's books. Now
we're going Spike Trotman?
Now we're going for Spike Trotman.
Okay.
Most of you, this is Andrea Purcell. Most of you know me through my work at Iron Circus, where I've worked since 2019. Recently, I asked for a raise, and I've been making $18.75 a month this year. Spike refused. Spike refused to give me a raise. She told business contacts I quit. I assure you I did not. That is a whole
Spike Trotman did that? No.
What?
Never.
There have been, look, I don't know.
It's almost like writing a book about being poor when your husband's an investment banker or something.
There are people complaining about Spike dropping too. Like, look, I don't know Spike. I don't care. I know Spike's got me blocked on Twitter, and I didn't even know what I did to her.
We called her out back when
that was about Tokyo Pop.
Crowdfunding or Tokyo Pop. The Tokyo Pop was first, yes, because she was talking at her ass, and we had to correct her.
Jody Hauser, who actually writes quite a bit, and probably is doing better than most of these people, right? No one should ever have to sacrifice their well-being for comics.
I agree, but that's a choice.
Yeah. I stayed at my full-time day job as long as I could writing comics so I could keep my very good health insurance. Decided it wasn't worth it after I cracked 2 molars, grinding my teeth in my sleep from stress.
So your choice, wait, you're grinding your teeth in your sleep from stress, and your thought is, I'm going to quit working my day job to take on freelance work that doesn't pay. Wait, that's your answer?
Oh my God. Comics is one of the most stressful because everybody's stressed because there's no fucking money.
Well, not just that. Like, there's people are mentioning, people don't get back to you in time. No. They change deadlines. A lot of times, especially depending on what you're doing, it could come down to if you're like lower on the chain of like what needs done. If everybody else takes longer than they need to, it all gets dumped on you. You have no control over anything sometimes if you're working for other companies.
I have been there. This is Triona Farrell.
No, this isn't just us being assholes.
No. I have many stories, but the crowd that asked me to color 70 pages in 48 hours and then fired me when I couldn't come comes to mind. Done it. I love comics, but to be real, it's a medium that's not going to exist in about 2 decades beyond the odd graphic novel at the rate it's going. Oh my God, are you allowed to say that? Are you Comics Gate if you say that?
Yeah, right.
You know, here's the thing. Here's the thing. This
you want to see Neil on a tangent? This is today. This is your day. It is your time.
I got to get on camera because I'm like I'm ready to jump out of my fucking chair.
Get some of your comic friends to do a podcast on it this week.
Deep breath. I can walk the fuck away. Here's the thing. The reason these people are so pissed at YouTubers is they look at these people and they're like, look, oh my God, they made more money in a year than I made doing one book, and they did it their own pace. Geez, some of these people are like 2 years late on their books, and they're still getting hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Holy shit, I hate them because look at my life. But I'm like, you fucking chose it. Everybody tells you. Before I broke into comics, I had people telling me, hey, this is what comics pays. Hey, this is what you can expect. Are you sure you want to do this? I had John fucking Byrne trying to talk me out of doing comics.
That's true.
It's true.
Tell the story for any new people.
Well, okay. So, I met John Byrne at a comic convention years ago. I was taking my portfolio around as one used to do because there used to be editors who could hire you. Very nice guy. A lot of people had negative experiences with John Byrne. I did not have a negative experience with John Byrne, but I showed him my portfolio. I said, hey, that's pretty good. How old are you? Like 17, 18? I'm like, yeah. He's like, yeah, for 17, 18, that's pretty good. You could probably break in a couple of years, you know? Here, have a Charleston. Give me one of those Charleston comics. He signed it. It was really cool. And I talked to him for a little bit. And he's like, well, and like the following week, I think I was going up to Marvel Comics or something. He's like, you know, talk to so-and-so, whatever. But he's like, just so you know, it ain't all that's cracked up to be. He's like, you might want to, he's like, you're only 17 or 18. There is time to change direction. Like you can do a lot of other things. He's like, I'm not going to, good on you if you want to go do it. But by God, kid, you know, you have no idea what you're getting yourself into. And he was right. He was right. And I never did comics full time, really, because the money's not there. Now, there are multiple levels. There are multiple levels of comicdom. You've got people who worked on top shelf Marvel and DC books getting top page rates, and those people are going off and getting movie deals and shit. The only thing I can think that these people were hanging around in the comic book industry for is either they have no place else to go, or they were hanging around hoping that they would become the next Mark Miller and get like a fat Amazon deal or something.
Here's the thing, though. A lot of the ones that are complaining, I'm not sure if these are them, but like they're the people that came in after the people got ousted because of politics. And, you know, the comic industry has been run to the ground, so they're paying less. But back up to that one person up here, they were talking about, we think we've gaslit ourselves into thinking that a company paying you below minimum wage is somehow okay.
Yeah.
And, you know, and talking about how they never communicated or whatever, got aggressive later. And it's like, you know.
Oh, God, if you said that 5 years ago, you were Comicsgate.
Other creative industries get benefits, raises, proper raises. Right. So go to those industries.
Yes. Fucking quit. Just walk away. If you didn't get your fucking Netflix deal, you're not going to get it now because they're canceling shows. I'm sorry. I am very sorry.
70 pages in 48 hours. I remember you were up all night last minute cranking out this comic for them because the colorists couldn't do it.
Yeah, I had to recolor an entire. I still remember because I had PTSD from that one. I still remember what it was. It was Mickey and Goofy, and they went into like a fish aquarium or something, and they were underwater, and
there's a whole bunch of stuff to color.
There was a shit ton of fish, and they were all different colors, and it was like, and I had to recolor the whole thing because the original file they sent from, this was a European comic, it was corrupted. The colors were outside the lines. It was just,
so you had to fix all that first.
Actually, I had to start over. There was no fixing it.
That's what I meant. Like you had to completely.
I had to completely wipe it down and then eyedropper the old pages and try to figure out what colors they were going for because they had, CMYK, your cyan, magenta, yellow, black. Well, they had black in the color channels.
Oh, yeah, you're not supposed to do that.
And you weren't supposed to do that.
Not for Disney.
Not for those comics because the paper it was printed on, we had to keep the black only on the lines, right? So I had to go in and I had to eyedropper it and guess like, okay, they obviously didn't want, 5% black in this red.
For every color.
For every fucking color.
Overnight.
And it was basically 2 or 3 days, and
it was like overnight, one night. I remember it was like
fish,
last
so
minute. Like, can you have this to us by it was like by the next night. Like, can you have this to us by like the next night or the morning after? It was like one night and you were up all night.
Yeah, I felt like I'd taken the morning after pill. Holy hell. But it was, yeah. And I remember that one. I remember what the story was called because I didn't even have a lot of the dialogue in the word balloons at the time. A lot of times colorists are given stuff before we have dialogue, but I was just like, if I ever see this fucking story again, and I'm sure somebody will go find it. It was a gemstone book. Mickey and Goofy are underwater with a bunch of fucking fish. And if you find that one, burn it for me. Remember me.
Yeah, they're talking about I've accrued $50,000 in non-payments from publisher colleagues in the last 10 years. Then why do you keep letting them do this to you?
Stop it!
They know that they can get away with not paying you. They know it, and they keep doing it.
I work 80 hours a week. I missed family occasions, friends' birthdays. To get stiffed for $50,000? What the fuck are you doing? Why are you doing this to yourself? And that's it. You're doing it to yourself. You can blame the industry, but as long as there are people that are willing to do that, it's not going to change. And it's not going to change. The more desperate they get, the tighter they're going to get with the purse strings.
I have a genetic condition that's kind of activated when I drew my first comic from sitting too long. And you're ruptured discs. We understand, Allison.
Degenerative disc disorder, some shit. I don't know what it's called. But
I only started 4 years ago, and it's not like comics broke me yet. Oh, save yourself. Save yourself.
God, people, really? I don't understand it. I love drawing comics and won't stop it. I wouldn't be able to afford to live a life doing this. I have to work 4 days a week on another job.
If you love doing it and you want to do it as your hobby, or you want to do it as that's your second job, you want to do it because that's what you want to do. That's different. But if you're making that choice to do it because you really want to do it, you can't sit here and scream about it when it doesn't go the way you think it should go. But do I think comics is a shitty industry? Yes, that's what I'm telling you. Do your comics on your terms. But you know what? Don't expect any better because it hasn't gotten better if you've been paying attention at all. In the last at least 20 years that I know of.
No.
Then you would know that it was fucking not worth it to begin with.
Yeah, and they actually have brought this up in Twitter. Comicron brought it up. Some comics broke me, and they track sales as best as they can now because who the hell knows how many comics are actually being sold. But some Comics Broke Me comments have alluded to a lack of creator certainty over what publishers are actually selling. It's been aggravated due to the distribution changes that began in 2020, which took away data that, while incomplete, at least provided some minimum sales numbers. They don't want the sales numbers out there. They can find the sales numbers. The reason they don't want the sales numbers out there, knowing how Disney and Daddy Zaslav are cutting, they'd look at this and be like, why the hell are we paying what we're paying, for comic books when we could just job it out to some third party and call it a day? And then IDW is going belly up, and Dark Horse, I don't know what's going on with that. They got sold to Embracer Group, and I heard there were financial problems there. It's not sustainable. The direct market is imploding. If only there were, dozens of YouTubers and citizen journalists sounding the alarm for the last 5 to 8 years.
If only there had been podcasts,
or
now YouTube that now are on you that we do on YouTube, telling you that it wasn't looking good for a long, long time.
We did a podcast.
Before we did this stuff.
Before we did this shit. And we're bringing the podcast back, by the way. But no, before we did this stuff, we did a podcast like in 2012 talking about the reality of working in the comic book industry and how for most people, again, you've always got those 1%ers that are making, really good money working for Marvel and DC, and good on them. If you can make that money, you make that money. But for everybody else, okay, of all the other thousands of books that are out there every month, this is what it's like. And I'm sorry. I am very sorry that the illusion.
Yeah, we're not downing your stories in any way, shape, or form. We agree with you. We think that probably happened 100%, but it's not new. It's not surprising. It's been this way.
Cullen Bunn, he's another one. He was like writing every book for a while, and he said, Confessions of an Aged Out Silver Bullet. Cullen, you don't have to be an aged out silver bullet. You could go do your own thing. Go do your own thing, but they basically told him like they were out of the Cullen Bunn business because he was too old and too white and male or some shit. I don't know what happened, but they're not hiring him anymore. And that's the thing too. People don't understand. You have a shelf life. Like, no pun intended, but like, you're the flavor of the month this month, and then, 2 years from now, you can't get work. And there's so many people that worked in comics in the 80s and 90s that were unemployable, because the style had changed, tastes had changed.
That's true. You have to be flexible. You have to be able to change with the times. A lot of people can't.
This just sucks, and I'm sorry. I'm very sorry, but you have been warned for decades that this is what it's like.
IDW's former CEO was making $400,000 as a salary. Well, for a CEO, that's not a lot of money.
That's not a lot of money.
But there's money in the industry, not for creators. Yes, and IDW went down the shithole. It's like I wouldn't use IDW as an example.
For $400,000, if you had your own platform, you could go crowdfund that for your own book. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, and lots of people have done it. There's precedence for it, but it's a lot of work.
But you said it there. You had to have a platform, and a lot of people, not everyone on this list, but a lot of people just moved into warm seats.
Yeah. You can do it. Honestly, I would tell anybody, it's kind of like basically web comics on a larger scale. I would tell you now, if you want to break into comics, that you get yourself some kind of a platform, and then you make comics on your own terms rather than working for one of these corporations. And if they want to come to you and throw big, fat sacks of cash your way, say, hey, would you write Spider-Man if we give you whatever umpteen dollars million? I was going to say umpteen million, but it's basically umpteen dollars, and you want to do it, then cool.
No, I'm just thinking about for a while there, not so much now, but for a while there, these YouTubers who had gaming channels were getting big book deals, and they were getting Scholastic and selling everything and getting all kinds of stuff just because their name was attached to it. I'm sure that rubbed these people the wrong way too. That kind of made me mad too. I was like, what the fuck? But anyway.
Yeah, I
can't fault them for taking the deal.
I don't get this. And these are all people that spent, now it's starting to make more sense. A lot of these people are people that have gone hard in the paint against YouTubers and Comicsgate people and all this shit. And at the end of the day, they're scared because they see what their future looks like, and it's not good. But all the warning signs have been there for such a long time. But instead of working on your own shit and trying to build your own life raft and do your own thing, you spend all your time worried about what other people were doing. That's a huge mistake. You worry about what you're doing first. You can keep an eye on your competition, but you worry about what you're doing first.
Well, a lot of them are probably behind people that have been there for years getting ousted because they voted a certain way.
Yeah.
Thinking they were going to get, they were going to get you got all the power and all the stuff that comes with it. The itty bitty living space, that's what happens.
This is just pathetic. It's just pathetic, guys. And it's sad. We go
We're not saying that we think you're full of it.
No,
we believe your stories. We believe your stories completely.
I lived your story. I know you're telling the truth, but
why?
I don't go to Artist Alley as much as I used to, and it's really sad. But the reason I don't, I've told you why I don't. Because if you make eye contact with anybody there, you can see the sadness in their eyes, and they immediately are trying to sell you something. And it's like, I'm just not interested. I'm sorry. And
I do. I hate going to Artist Alley because
it's so
I go to look for friends, and as soon as they see you, they get all like,
I'm going to make a sale.
I know, and but it feels so bad.
Feels so bad.
I actually would buy little things I don't need, for a few dollars here or there, just because I feel so bad for people.
It's like a bunch of adult lemonade stands. The lemonade's not very good sometimes, but they worked really hard, and and I'm not saying I make good lemonade either. I'm just saying it's depressing. The comic book, the mainstream Western comic book industry is depressing as fuck. You've been told for years.
I'm sorry,
and you've done nothing to change it.
This post.
Which post are we looking at?
This one's fine to me.
Which one? This one?
No, the one above it. Reading the comics book or the comics broke me thread is heartbreaking. Our medium deserves better. I have felt so lucky to work in this medium and still feel inadequate. I'm an Eisner winning, Ignatz winner. It is a brag, a humble brag inserted into a thing.
Do you have health insurance?
That's
all I want to know.
Self-publishing, you cannot afford to make comics full time. I just want to make sure you all know that I won awards. Does awards pay for your health care? No.
Do you have health insurance?
They do other jobs, though, which is pretty much the norm. I'm just telling you, we've been telling you. Fuck. If you get a book deal or you do these things, you have to have a day job. A lot of the people who had to do them have a day job on the side. That's how you have to do it. And it's up to you whether or not it's enough. And even then, you can do that and do all the work and put your book out, and it might not even earn out.
No.
And you just did all that for nothing.
Let's just
maybe your book's out there, and I guess they can't take that away from you.
I don't understand. Why are you doing this to yourselves? Seriously, this is like,
you want to do it because you love it. It's a hobby. That's one thing.
Yeah, but you get to a certain age where you're like, I've got bills. Like we wanted to have a house and kids and bill, like we wanted to have a normal life. And I'm sorry, you can't have a normal life and work in the Western comic book industry as it is right now. Most people can't. Now, again, there are exceptions, Marvel, DC people, whatever. That's I'm not. But like these people, you will never have a normal life because you can't afford it. Well, I'm sorry.
But it's been a long time coming. How many times have you seen so-and-so retired? And then some medical emergency comes and they can't afford to take care of themselves because they have no retirement. And they worked in the comic book industry when the comic book industry actually paid you well.
Yeah, you have people that worked, they were huge in the 70s, 80s, 90s even. And you knew these guys were probably making, in their heyday, probably making millions of dollars. And where is it? And now they're like, oh, hey, Joe needs a sandwich. And also his wife died. Can we pay for a funeral? And it's heartbreaking. I'm not laughing. I want to be very clear, and that's why I wish people could see my face in this one. I'm not laughing at these people. I am legitimately baffled as to why you're still fucking there, because it is exactly what these people are talking about.
And it's not changed.
It's not changed.
A couple decades at least.
No, it's been this way. And if anybody lied to you if you thought you were going to get in, make easy money, get your Netflix deal and cash the fuck out. Even people that had Netflix deals will tell you that money's not great. It's not great.
A lot of times they'll just stall you out with an option so you can't do anything else and you're stuck there.
Oh my God. Yes, we've been there too.
No, you just made it all up. You don't know what you're talking about. You never even worked professionally. You're just a bunch of liars because you don't tell me what I want to hear.
So, guys, and at this point, like if you're willfully stupid, if you're willfully doing this, and you have other options.
Well, that's like that one chick that wanted to get a job in animation as a storyboard artist and was going to move someplace and was like, I'm going to move to this one place and I'm going to go there and I'm going to be an animator. And it's like, oh, cool. Do you have a job lined up? No. I'm just going to move there and be an animator. I'm like, do you have anything lined up to do that? No. And all the friends were like, you go, you can do it, you go. And I said, you can't, I'm not saying you can't do it, but maybe you should consider finding a job there first and then moving to the job so that you can do it and be, not work, because they kept complaining about working retail. I was a naysayer. I was a terrible person. I'm the one that they stopped talking to and blocked, whatever, because how dare I tell them they can't do their dream? I didn't tell them that. I just told them you might want to do these things to make sure you're not, in a bad position. They moved, went where they were going to go, and guess what? Fucking didn't get a job in animation, fucking worked a worse retail job than they had already, and then had to move home in 3 or 4 years, taking loans out to do it.
Yeah.
But I was the bad guy for telling them the truth.
Yeah. And look, I'm telling you the truth right now. The best thing you can do for yourself, your mental health, is walk the fuck away from the Western comic book industry.
Or do it on your own terms.
Do it on your own terms. I'm not saying don't make comics. I want to be clear. I'm not telling you to not make comics. I'm saying you don't have to work in that system. You're just enabling them to keep doing it to you and others. If you keep letting them do it, they're going to keep doing it. Nobody can stop you from making comics. There's so many options to distribute and sell your comics. In fact, you probably have more success taking control of your sales and selling direct to consumer than you would trying to go through the system and playing these stupid games with these publishers that are doomed to fail. It's like there's no winning this. And I'm sorry. I'm very sorry you didn't get the brass ring on the merry-go-round like you thought you should get. There's one brass ring and there's like 10,000 of you on the merry-go-round. Right. Statistically speaking. You're not 99.9% of you are not going to get a brass ring. So you got to make do with what you got. And I know it's going to fall on deaf ears. No,
we're just going to be told we're haters. And
we're going to be told we're haters and somehow, homophobic or something. I don't know. Probably because, whatever. But,
Well, I have PCOS too, so ha ha ha.
What's that have to do with me?
One person's like, I'm brown and I'm in LGBTQ and I have PCOS. And I'm like, so do I. And I have an anxiety disorder.
Yeah, well.
Partly from comics. That's probably true, actually. Part of my anxiety disorder probably does come from comics.
There's a lot of...
I was a lot more cheerful before Neon met me. Let's put it that way. It has nothing to do with Neon. I'm sorry. It's nothing to do with you. But comics, and I was one of the wives that would let, you do comics. Like, I didn't stop you. Like, I encouraged it.
That is true. Actually,
and then I was like, why does this industry suck?
I would have given up on it years and years ago.
So it's kind of my fault.
But we've met a lot of people and we've heard a lot of stories, and this is common. And the fact that they're just admitting it now, when everybody knows this is what it's like working in comics, is pretty telling. They basically had to hide it. They had to smile through the tears because they couldn't let the chuds win. You couldn't let your YouTube adversaries have a win. So you had to be like, comics are fine, everybody. It's all great. Everything is fantastic.
And then this will go away, and in another 10, 15 months, come back around. Comics suck. Comics are terrible. And they'd be like, and then we'll hear it again. And it's every other year, at least every 16 months, something like that. Here it comes. Yeah,
I don't know what to tell you guys. I mean, at this point, if you know how bad it is and you still choose to stay in the mainstream comic book industry, you kind of get what you deserve. I'm sorry, it's not going to change. The only thing you can do is change your own situation. So we're going to wrap this one up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye. Sorry, I yelled loudly.
That's okay. I got the limiter on.
Okay. So
you can tell
setting?
Yeah, you can tell.
Really? It automatically limits it when I yell?
It does. When the pitch gets too high, it does. Sometimes if you sound like all robotic, it's because it's bringing the decibels down.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Help support the channel. Go to thereef.support and get early access to podcasts, videos, and other content. That's thereef.support.